because they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
I want to make it clear that the views expressed by our hosts are not considered the official stance of MBR Views. Remember, this is all about having fun and enjoying the ride.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Tracer Round Podcast. A tracer round is a type of ammunition designed to help visually track the path of rounds fired. Tracers show where you need to adjust or redirect fire. Join Army veteran Sergeant First Class Terry Lynch for Tracer Rounds, the first ever podcast of its type. Whether it be military, music, sports, politics, education, relationships, or gender issues, no target is off limits or out of bounds. Are you on target? Or does your fire need to be recalibrated? Whether you adjust fire or fire for effect, tune in to Tracer Rounds, where the range is always open and there are rounds going down range.
All right, welcome back to Tracer Rounds. I'm your host, Terry, and I have today in studio with me Lynnwood King. He is a Marine Corps veteran, and he is a Texas musician. So we got Texas in the house tonight.
Right.
Welcome, Lynnwood.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, super excited to have you. So we were introduced by Noah Peterson, who was my guest last week, and he said, you have to have my buddy on. He said, you have to have Lynnwood on. He's some kind of Texas rocker. We've got to showcase him. So I said, yeah, let's do it.
Right on.
So welcome,
awesome.
And I'm so excited to have you.
Well, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about your military service. I know you said you were a Marine veteran. So can you tell me what your job was and a little bit about what you did in the military?
Sure. All right. So I was in the Marine Corps from 92 to 96 active duty, then 96 to 99 inactive reserve. So I didn't really do much. But I joined the Marines during the first Gulf War. I mean, I wanted to be a Marine. I wanted to fight for my country. And joined the Marine Corps and ended up not getting the job I wanted, but I got a job that I needed to have, and it was defensive mapping. And so I spent a lot of time with the camera, developing film, getting stuff done for just the Marines that were out in the field who needed some information that we were able to pass on. So it was a really cool MOS. I was also a secondary hazardous waste handler and first responder. So it was cool. I learned a lot, and I loved my time in the Marine Corps.
So what's your favorite memory, and maybe what were some of your assignments? Where were you stationed at?
So my MOS school was almost a year long. So I was my first, I guess after Marine combat training, I got sent to Washington for about a year to do my training out there. And Camp Pendleton was my second duty station, which is beautiful. I love California. So San Diego is the best. And then I was sent out to Okinawa, Japan, where I spent my last year in the Marine Corps out there. So probably the best spot would be Okinawa. This is beautiful. I mean, it was a very the scenery and everything is amazing. The training's hard, but the beauty of the area. Um, I guess one of the things about being in the military in general is just the pride you get from accomplishing whatever mission they give you, or whatever test you're given. And so I think I have to say a lot of my fondest memories would be completing a task that was given to us, whether it be a schooling or some sort of training, and you're able to accomplish, the session or the class. And so that was to me, probably some of my best memories are celebrating those accomplishments with my teammates and the guys in my unit. So those are some special memories. Oh, and also, we did this hump as an 18-mile hump one time, and I came back and we were at the Quonset Hut getting showered up. And this is a memory I told my son this the other day. I'll never forget. I was so tired. I was just beat up, and this guy was walking around selling personal pizzas from Domino's. And I remember I bought a Domino's personal pizza and a Coke, and that was the best meal. That's been the meal I've my entire life been chasing to have the same nostalgic feeling. So Domino's pizza and Coke is that was my all-time, one of my favorite memories. When you finish doing something, you're so tired. You know what I mean? You finish doing some sort of training or something that just drains the life out of you, and then having just even a nice cold glass of water. You know what I mean? So that's just one of those memories I have.
That's awesome. I love it. I mean, there's nothing like something to remind you of home to get you through, because usually that's what it's about. It's some kind of something that ties you back to where you've been, or where you are, or where you want to be. And so those food and other things are really just something that brings you right back to the place that makes you comfortable and makes you happy.
Yeah, it does. Even if there's suffering involved,
even if there's suffering involved,
it'll still make you feel young again.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Right on.
Yes, I do. So did you play at all while you were in the Marines, or when did you pick up an instrument, or when did you start singing, or when did you know what you wanted to do?
Okay, well, I started playing music as a young teenager. I played in church, and when I was around 16 or 17, I really started playing in church, trying to be a good Christian, and wanted to follow wherever God led me with music. And when I joined the Marines, that really wasn't something I kind of set it down until I got to Washington, which was my first duty station. And not really, was MOS school. So I was out there, and I remember there was this one guy who had his guitar, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And so once in a while I'd ask him if I could play it, and then I found out the USO had instruments. So I went to the USO during the time off that from our training and our schooling, and I would go and I played the instruments at the USO with other Marines. We just kind of jam, and then as it progressed, I got an acoustic guitar and I just start playing once in a while. But it wasn't until I got to Okinawa, Japan, where you improved a little bit over the years, right? I was in my last year in, and my friends from my unit that we were following each other around every time they'd move. For some reason, we always follow each other around. The Marine Corps just put us together, and just jamming in the barracks, hanging out in the barracks, playing guitar. Because, I was a married Marine stationed at an unaccompanied tour, so I couldn't have my wife with me at the time. My ex-wife, I couldn't have her with me, but I was having music and having my friends there, and having my faith in God really got me through a lot. And playing music there just helped create some confidence, and also some good memories with my brothers just in the barracks hanging out playing music.
I don't think there's anything better than some music to bring people together and to bring you to a good place, because music it feeds your soul. And then it doesn't really matter what kind of music it is. It's whatever you're attuned to, whatever that type of experience you want in your sphere,
Yeah.
so it could be rock, it could be metal, it could be jazz, it could be whatever. It's just whatever makes you feel that inward sense of happiness and peace.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, like, typically, for me anyway, music brings me back to a place in time that I really enjoyed, or sometimes maybe I hear a song and I get sad because I remember what happened when I heard that song.
Yeah.
So music, I mean, like, it just resonates through history for anybody, I think, just
Does.
what you were doing, what you were listening to, or where you were, or it just brings you back to another time and place, either happy or sad, I think.
It does. I mean, I agree 100%. When I go to the gym, I listen to upbeat music because it kind of makes me energetic, when I go run. But
Yes.
when I'm at home smoking a cigar, sometimes I'll just throw on some old blues, laid back jam songs or some country music, depending on the mood. But it'll always, I think that's the gift of music, where it'll kind of take you places or take you back to places. And I think that's why I love to perform and play music too, because you're able to have that connection with people. So it's very important. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think so too. Music makes the world go round as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Amen. I agree. I agree.
So I wanted to say, I know that your band is called The Heroine.
Yes.
Is there a rhyme to, or a reason to the name,
Yeah.
or is it just
So
something you came up with, or?
no, there's a reason behind the name. So the name is the heroine, like the female hero. It's funny because on TikTok, I'm not allowed to say the name of my band. Anytime I do a live stream on TikTok and I say the name of my band, they either age restrict it or they'll disconnect me. But it's not the drug. It's not the drug. And I know people sometimes would make puns of it, but it really is a spiritual kind of name. So the heroine, which is a female hero, when we started as a band, we felt like I'm a believer. I'm a big believer in Jesus. I'm a Christian, and so the heroine was always to me the hero that brought joy, that brought peace, that brought salvation, and that would be the church, because the church is referred to as the bride of Christ. And so
Yes.
that's where the kind of whole spiritual thing came in. So the heroine is basically bringing a message of joy and salvation through rock and roll. And it might sound kind of funny, but if you see me perform with the heroine, we get real. The whole band is just like, it's almost like we're not religious. We don't get up there and start preaching, but it's like a rock and roll church service, man. It can be like, here's an example. We played in Sturgis a few years back, and we have callbacks. Like, so I'm gonna start before we do a song. It'd be like, I'll be like, when you go through life, you got to go all in. And my bandmates be like, all in. You got to be all in. And we just start yelling at each other. And we were having this freaking awesome show at Sturgis. And the show ended. I left and got home. And a couple weeks later, I got a letter in the mail out of the blue from a biker who was at Sturgis that saw that show. And he was like, you guys took me to church. I feel like I was in a rock and roll church. And it really touched him. And that really made me feel like really good as far as the reasoning of what we do. So that's what the heroine's about. That's why we're called the heroine. And it's not the best name in the world. We've had a lot of trouble with it, but that's just the band, and we've had so many good opportunities. There's been so many really good branding opportunities. Our history just kind of, if you kind of research the band, we got invited by Motley Crue to perform in LA at the Whiskey A Go Go, and we played in front of Motley Crue, and they loved us. And we got endorsed by Gibson Guitars. We got endorsed by Ernie Ball Strings. Best Buy put our music in all their stores, and so the heroine is a very special thing. Even though if you don't understand it, you may think, oh, it's the drug, but really it's it's the message, and it's just the like my bass player would say, Wesley, the Ghoulie Bargoolish would say, it's just bringing rock and roll to the people, man, and that's what the heroin, that's what we're about.
I love that. Well, so we're going to go to break in about a minute, but so we're going to play one of your songs. We're going to play Highway 16. And can you just give us a little lead into it and kind of tell us what it might be about or how the inspiration came?
So Highway 16 is basically, I got saved on a little church on Highway 16 when I was 17 years old, a little tiny church off Highway 16 here in San Antonio. So that's what the song's about. And again, it's to me, the meaning is real spiritual, but it's a fun rock and roll song. And we did the video was done by a director named Brian Ramirez, very well known director and videographer here in Texas, and he's also known in Hollywood. So he did a great job on the production. And everyone in the video, there's a couple of actors, but in the video, in the church scenes, those are all our friends. And the actors that are fighting at the end of the video, those happen to be two friends of ours that showed up, and the director was like, "Oh, I'm gonna put you in the video," and they just happened to be put in the fight scene. So it's pretty cool. I hope you guys enjoy it.
Cool.
Right on.
Well, all right. Well, let's go ahead and play that now. We're going to go to commercial. Well, we're going to go to your music, which is sort of a commercial, and then we'll be back. So awesome. Here is Highway 16.
Introducing LT Defense Tactical Gear, your ultimate solution for top
opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hi, welcome back to Tracer Rounds. I'm with my special guest tonight, Lynnwood King, and unfortunately the video wasn't playing sound. I was thinking it was just on my end, but I'm hearing that we've had technical difficulties, but I did enjoy watching the video, and I can't wait to hear the video. And I'm hoping our guests, we've got several guests in the house tonight. I saw some comments. So we've got a world of conscious positive thinking. So we've got MJ, and we've got Robert, and we've got our president of MBR, Joel Hunt. So we appreciate you tuning in tonight. And unfortunately, maybe we can get working before the end of our session. But you did see a great video. I have to say that's pretty well worked, and I was excited to see that. And somehow, technically, a button got pushed, and then we went right to commercial. So I started it over, hoping it would play, but it's not. So I apologize about that. But what's going to happen though? Let me put back up your social media sites, because people can go to your different social sites and see and play your music. I know you have Apple iTunes. I was going to ask you, I know I'm needing to say this correctly because I'm kind of a little old school. We used to say album, and we don't say album anymore. We say collection.
Yeah.
So how many songs would you say are in your collection?
So, I mean, the Heroin is released probably, we probably have 30 or 40 songs out. But that's my wife.
Hello for us.
She took the kids to a museum. But yeah.
Oh, wow.
So she knows we're in here. I think she just forgot. But and I have the best wife in the world, by the way. She's amazing. Awesome. But yeah, we have about 40 songs out. We've been pretty fortunate. One of our best albums was on Universal Records. They had that whole Motley Crue deal kind of helps launch the band, and Universal EMG picked us up and released Playing for Keeps, and then we put out Songs from the Southland and Wolf Mama. So there's a good collection of songs, and then I have my solo songs, and they're more laid back, kind of bluesy R&B type stuff. Way different than the Heroin, but I just love music, so I kind of play whatever.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like music too. It doesn't really matter what genre. Good music is good music.
Yeah.
So I'm told that our president, he has your video up. So we're gonna go and try to play it now.
All right.
Since
awesome.
since he's got it up. So Joel, if you want to go ahead and try that, that'd be great.
Right on.
Sitting here thinking, I ain't got nothing to look forward to after tonight. I'm gonna tell you something, Jennifer, I love you, sister. I'm gonna tell you something, your story is not over yet. You got a story in your life that's so beautiful. More than you can even imagine right now, y'all. Don't let this damn world bring you down.
So this song's called Hard Working Man. It's one of my favorite songs.
You know? You gotta get up and face the day.
Yeah, that's the other one we were trying to load. So here we go.
Let's get out there and make it happen, y'all. Song's called Hard Working Man.
I don't know that the production is good. It's a live tempo, but you can get the justice with the
Yo, big brother. Sing it, big brother. 1, 2, 3, 4. He was a gambler. He spent his life taking risks. He worked hard with that hammer. Been living with clenched fists. Mama always cried for the things that he done. He got his loving on the run. Daddy was a gambler. He was a We carry the weight of the world on his shoulders. I learned that is how got older. Yeah, I thought his hands, fire in his soul. Oh, thank you, Jesus. I work hard like a rock and roll. When I was trials or tribulations get its way, y'all see what I'm going through. And you got yourself a good woman too. Everyone here, when you taught me about the fire. Hard working man.
Okay, can you hear me? I can't hear you for some reason. I'm not able to hear you. Let's see. I think you're. Can you hear me?
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Sorry. Welcome back to Trace Rounds. I'm your host, Terry, and we just heard Lynnwood
Right
King's
on.
song. He's my special guest tonight, and that's Hardworking Man. Can you tell us a little bit about that song?
Yeah, so that video took me way back. That was probably 10 years ago. And we had just signed a deal with Universal Records. And you can tell the excitement, the band was kind of hyped up, and we had a real good turnout at that show. And that song is pretty much any father wants their kids to remember them as a hardworking person that has character and that passes on to their children a good work ethic and good character and integrity. And so when I was writing that song, I actually wrote it in this room that I'm in right now. And it was a simple 3-chord song. It was A, G, D, simple chord progression. And it was just basically talking about how my daddy was a gambler. Like he took a risk. Being a dad or being a parent in general, you take a risk because you're gonna put not just someone's life in your hand, but at the same time, as me as a father and a provider to my family, I had to take risk to accomplish my dreams and whatever I was gonna do in my life. There's an element of risk as a father, or I don't want to just generalize it as a father, but for anybody. But since the song's Hardworking Man, it was more geared towards fatherhood. And it was just basically about you're stepping out, you're a blue collar, you're out there working with your hands. The lyric says, made a living with clenched fists, because you're grabbing and you're working and you're out there sweating. And so it's just basically about that. The bridge is my favorite part of the song. And the lyric says, he carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. I learned that as I got older. He had earth on his hands and fire in his soul. He taught me 2 things, how to work hard and how to rock and roll. And so that, like, when I sing those lyrics, even now, even the song's old. The song's, we released, the first time we released that song was in 2009 after we did the Motley Crue basically helped us and discovered us back in 2009. And we got a record deal after that whole experience. And so we recorded the original version with that record deal. And so from just touring our butts off, Universal and EMG kind of took notice, and they took that same album, got it remastered, remixed, and then re-released it for us. And so it sounds on the actual, I think the album on iTunes and on Spotify, it's now under Wolf Music Group because we're no longer with Universal, and thankfully they gave us all our masters when we left them. But that song is just it brings back a lot of good memories, and it's just basically about heart, and it's still one of our staple songs. It's, I think, the most played song on Spotify for us, and I think on probably Apple Music it's one of our top 4 popular songs. So I mean, it's a fun song to perform, and I think it connects with a lot of people. So that's why I love that, and I'm thankful y'all played it, because you kind of see in the video we get a little excited, and I try and motivate our audience, because I don't want them leaving my show feeling down. I want them to leave the show energized and excited, and that's kind of what I'm about. That's what we want to do when we perform live. And Hardworking Man, go listen to that song, download the music.
I know. Yeah, check it out. So having watched that, I have to say, how long does it take you to recover from performing? Because it looks like you're all in, and like you are like doing all kinds of aerobic workout that no one would ever just purposely do.
Let me say this. That video is from about 2014, and I've gotten better. I've gotten like, if you watch my show now, I may look a little older, my hair be a little grayer, but I've gotten a lot better. And go look at some of my videos on my page, on my profiles, because one of my main things is I love to entertain. And you see my mic stand, I kind of throw it around, I do twists and turns with it. So if I do a show tomorrow, I will wake up sore for the next couple of days, But when you're on tour, right? When I'm on tour and you're doing this, 14, 15 days in a row, nonstop. Wow. The first couple of nights kind of struggle. It's kind of hard because, rehearsal, you don't go as hard. We go hard on rehearsal, but it's just a different, the adrenaline rush is way different in front of an audience. And so when you're doing a tour, though, it honestly, after the first week, and you're clicking on all cylinders as a band, and you're just in your element, and your body is kind of used to it, it doesn't hurt at all. It just feels like you don't want to stop, because when you stop, then you got to go through the pain again. And that's why I hate not to. not touring as much as I used to isn't very fun for me. So I love the tour. I love to be on the stage. The pain does come with it if I'm not doing it, for a while. But when I'm in my groove and the band's on tour, it's no problem at all.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And I understand it's like a battle rhythm. So once you're in it, you're well oiled, and it's just
Yeah,
mechanics after that. There's no thinking to it. Let's just do it.
yeah,
So your body just responds to that. Let's just do
yeah.
it.
What the,
So
the hard
I
the hard part is the nerves. The nerves never go away though. I am super
really,
nervous before I play a show, and I'll probably go make a head call like 5 or 6 times, within the 10 minutes of the stage call and getting ready to play. I just get nerves. Like even now, like if I go perform to this day, no matter if it's an acoustic set, or if I'm with the heroin, or if I'm doing like a looping set, I get internal butterflies and anxiety, and I just feel like I don't want to do it. Like I want to just walk away. But then when it starts, it just goes, it kind of just disappears. And I'm sure that's been said a lot by a lot of artists. I don't know why it's like that though, but the nerves just kind of make you like want to not do it. You know what I'm saying? Like before your show, do you ever get like nervous and like you just want to do it, but then once the button's on, you're like, all right, let's go. It's like you forgot
right.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you're all in. I think
yeah,
the nerves actually serve to help you get prepared to talk or to sing or to play or to do whatever you have to do, whatever performance you're doing. I think the butterflies and the quick heartbeat and like
yeah,
the maybe quick breathing or whatever really serve a purpose that
yeah.
gets you into that moment and into that zone is what I think.
I don't like it, but I think you're right. I think you're right.
It's a little intense sometimes, I will admit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it can be.
so I was going to ask you, have you written songs for anybody else or just only for you and your band? Or I know you said you do a solo side and then you also do the heroin.
Yeah,
Have you written for anybody else or
actually,
co-written?
actually, I've co-written with a few guys. Nothing major. I've had Hard Working Man. Real quick side note: Hard Working Man was on Bar Rescue, so Bar Rescue featured Hard Working Man in one of their episodes. So that's kind of cool. But
Yes.
as far as songwriting, so when we signed our deal with Universal EMG, so Universal and Executive Music Group, they're kind of like they're the same label, but Universal was over EMG. They were the sub. So they flew us out to LA, and it was interesting because at the time the heroin was so much on fire. We had producers kind of like wanting to work with us. They wanted to produce our record, and Jay Baumgartner was the first producer that our label went to, and he loved the band. He was such a good role model and good influence. He produced Papa Roach, Korn, POD. He produced No Doubt. He's had his hands on every major rock artist in the early 2000s. And so we recorded "Coming Home" as one of our singles. It's on Apple Music, and we did "Make You Move" with him also. But at the time, there was another producer that was producing Alien Ant Farm, and they were on our same label. Alien Ant Farm was on our same label, and so our label, our managers went ahead and let us go work with him. And so we were hanging out in LA recording. We're going to record some songs that he'd written. So this is where my co-writing kind of comes into play. He'd written a song called "Asian Woman," and it didn't fit with me. And I read the lyrics, and it was about a stripper, and he called her Asian woman, and it was just it didn't sit right. And I was real frustrated. And I didn't want to sing. I was married. I had kids, and I just didn't want to sing that. So I read it aside, and I changed the lyrics to "Southern Woman," and I changed it from the strip club to like being in love and having that one woman to come home to. And it went from being this raunchy song to being what I thought was a real classy song, to where I can walk away proud knowing I did this. And so that was ended up we recorded that song. We never released it. I have the demos and they sound really cool. But the song went ahead, and he, instead of he kept it as Southern Woman. So he gave it to another artist that recorded it. And I don't know how well it's doing, but I do get royalties from it. So
Wow.
it was interesting to be able to, I wasn't a writer at the time, but in the studio on the fly, I became a writer because I've always written my own stuff. But with his song, it was his song, his music. I flipped it around and I became a writer on his song, and it ended up where he liked it so much that he kept it. And I get a royalty every quarter from it. So it's kind of cool. So that's like, as far as writing for anyone, his name is Omar Anvi, and he's done some really major big songs back from in the early 2010s era. But yeah, that's my co-writing thing right there. And I've done co-writing in Nashville with other BMI artists, but nothing to note, nothing that really took off or did anything. But co-writing's fun.
Well, I think that's impressive. I mean, that someone took what you did, the revisions you made, and then recorded it. I mean, that's a testament to your writing skills if they thought it was better than their own and they recorded it that way.
I was so happy about that. And I remember when he brought the song to me, the music was outstanding. I was like vibing it. It was just the lyrics were not, like here's an example. There was a video that came up earlier before you cut into the show again. It's called Who Do You Love? And we recorded that video in Fort Worth, and we had been on tour with Clutch. Clutch is a really awesome rock and roll band from America, right? They're a great band. Clutch had us on tour with them. A producer from Spain saw us playing with Clutch. He happened to be in Dallas when we were in Fort Worth, and he came and recorded the video for us, right? Just did everything for free. He went to Spain, and when he was in Spain, he had a Brazilian dancer do some of the dancing on the video. So if you watch that video, Who Do You Love? It has a female dancing on it. But he sent us the first version of it. And man, I had a note like, no, take this out. Because it was very, I guess people kind of correlate our music and just our kind of rock and roll attitude with just kind of like raunchiness. And so sometimes you have to step in because you got to protect your brand. And as a brand, as the heroine, our brand isn't about that. My brand isn't about being. I'm kind of a wholesome person, I guess. I don't want my daughters to be hanging with my kids to be hanging out strip clubs and stuff like that. But anyhow, those are some of the things as not just a writer, but as a creator. People are going to want to come in and help you. They're going to want to be a part of what you're doing. And I think, thankfully, in early on, I just learned, and it probably has a lot to do with my service in the Marine Corps. You just learn what you want, and you say no, or you say yes, or you have your standards that you meet. You got to meet your standards. And I have to give credit to I really believe my service in the military to be able to give me a little bit of fortitude to be able to tell someone that's not how it's going to be. It's going to be this way. And I got to give credit to the Marine Corps for that. And just being in the military, you kind of get that kind of backbone, as you'd say.
Yeah.
And music, or just anyone in general, you have a brand that you're putting out, even if you're not a signed artist. If you're just the average everybody has your brand you got to protect. And so as a musician, you know, I have to really be selective when it comes to people we work with, because sometimes in the past, they think one way of you because, you know, you're in a rock band. They expect you to do drugs and to be drunk all the time. And they expect, you know, that those are some things that you have to protect. You got to protect your soul, protect your brand. And that's, you know, I think the co-writing and working with other creators when it comes to content, you know, those are things you have to be able to put your mark on, because you can't just let someone else put it on you. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I have to tell you, I am just like in awe that you know when to say no, and you just don't let people push you into doing something that is against what you believe in. Because too many times when people want to be artists, want to be popular, want to be in with the in crowd, they just go along to get along. They don't stand their ground. They say, okay, that's fine, whatever you want to do, don't worry about it, I'll figure it out later. But I like that you all actually love that you say, no, that's not us, that's, you can't do that,
Yeah,
no, take this out, this is who we are, and we're not that. So I
that's
love that.
thank you. It can be a two-edged sword though. There's been we had some when we first signed our first major record deal. Our label wanted to put us with another band performing in Hollywood at a strip club. The video wasn't be actually filmed performing, and I had to tell them no. And sometimes saying no in the short term may not feel like a great idea. People are going to make, there's a lot of money involved. You don't look cool. People are not going to think you're cool. They're not going to like you. But in the long run, man, it's been great for me in the long run, because I look at my kids and my family, and over the years, I want my kids to look back and say, hey, my dad he stuck to his guns. He lived by what he said. And that's
It's true to what he believed in.
Yeah, it's important. It's that's we got to keep them standards. It's not easy. We got to.
So I have good news. Our president of NVR, he has been working behind the scenes, and he should have the Highway 16 ready to go.
Right on.
So
Yes.
Joel, if you can take us into the
you,
commercial with Highway 16.
Right on.
Can I get a witness? Let's go, baby. When I was young, I was alive. I was living life fast, just trying to survive. Small town kid in need of love. I was living out honky tonk bars and clubs. That's when that little mama, she come along and she rescued me, baby. Oh, come on, girl, come set me free. Can I get someone to raise their hand real quick? I gotta say something. She was the fastest thing that I'd ever seen. She got that super charm, baby. She keep my motor clean. I'm that kind of queen. I got that four on the floor, drive that 1604. My heart in my hand, Lord, I can't understand why it took so long to believe. Fell to my knees on Highway 16. You got to hold on tight through the tears and the blood. She came along, healed my disease. She showed me mercy and made me believe there's no life in just a one night stand. Oh, come on, girl, I'll be your man. She was the fastest thing that I'd ever seen. She got that super charm, baby. She keep my motor clean. I got that four on the floor, drive past 1604. My heart in my hand, Lord, I can't understand why it took so long to believe. Fell to my knees on Highway 16. Tell them, baby, tell them. Oh, tell them to she was the fastest thing that I've ever seen. She got that super charm, baby. She keep on rolling clean. I got that four on the floor, drop at 1604. My heart in my head, Lord, I can't understand why it took so long to believe. Down to my knees on Highway 16.
Hi, welcome back to Tracer Rounds. This is your host, Terry, and I'm with my special guest, Lynnwood King, and that was his song, Highway 16. And I had a little bit of audio buffering going on, but it's good. It's good. Believe me. And it was even pretty awesome as well. So we're happy to hear your music. I wanted to ask you, I asked you before the show, but I want you to tell our guests. I was told you are a metal rocker. And you have a little bit different take on your music style. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. I'm not a big metal fan. I'm more of a blues rock, ZZ Top type, CCR type guy. But when you're in a band, you can't have it all your way. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like being called a metal band because I feel like we're like a high energy rock and roll band. There are some metal elements to it. There's some screaming, there's some pretty heavy guitars, but at the end of the day, we're just a rock and roll band, and we've been called what's it called? Not punk rock, but there's another name someone called it. But I guess there's some punk rock elements. But we have just a big collection of different influences. But it's rock and roll. We love playing rock and roll. And I'll be honest with you, we released a new album last year, and it was a good record. I mean, it's a solid album. It's got I think 13 tracks on it. Not my favorite album though. I'll be honest with you. Highway 16's on this one though. There's some good tracks on it, so Highway 16's on it. But we were kind of dabbling with more metal. I think that's why Noah was like, yeah, they're metal, because our last album we did kind of go a little bit more in that direction. But I'll be honest with you, it's like sometimes we have to play a couple of songs off that album, and I really have to dig deep to perform them live. Like I really gotta okay, here we go. Because it takes a lot. It takes a lot of screaming and more of a. I don't know. It's too fast for me. I don't want to be fast. I just want to chill. I want to play some. I just want to play rock and roll. But yeah, we're just high energy rock and roll is kind of what we call it, man. It's not metal. It does have some elements though.
So who would you say you're influenced the most by, or like that maybe your sound is a little more liked than somebody else? I know you have a very individual sound, so I'm not saying you're sounding like anybody else in particular, but I know a lot of influences that go on into music writing, into the music you play. So do you have any influences like that?
Yes, definitely. I grew up in church, I grew up in church, and so most of my early adult life, even into my 30s, I wasn't listening to worldly music. I was only listening to gospel music. And I say I do that because I understand now as an artist, everyone's trying to make a living, whether you're writing gospel music or you're just writing rock and roll or whatever. These are human beings that are trying to create music to make a living, to pay their bill. So it's not black and white for me now. But when I was a young man, all I listened to was gospel. And so I had a lot of old school gospel influences. Kirk Franklin was like something that James Cleveland, Andre Crouch, and then I got into Joe Cocker, who I love. Joe Cocker, he's one of my favorite all-time singers. CCR and James Brown. You can't be. I think in this day and age, you have to utilize the freaking. There's so much good opportunity to learn, especially on YouTube. So I remember there was a couple of years where I would just go study James Brown. I'd sit there and watch him. I think every great or any good artist or any artist in general, they're going to look for their influences and they're going to pick. And so if you do watch my show, you're going to see a little bit of T.D. Jakes in it. You're going to see some James Brown. You're going to see some, even though I can't sing like him, you're going to see some Joe Cocker. And so those are a lot of my influences for myself as a band, as a musician that I bring to the table when I come perform with the Heroin. Now, if you go to the other band members, Ghoulies, a metalhead. He only wants it fast and loud. That's all he wants. We'd be a metal band if it was up to him. Junior, our guitarist, he's more of a blues, R&B, rock guy. You know, our drummer is more of a Led Zeppelin, hardcore metal also, but he digs Led Zeppelin. John Bonham's his favorite. So we kind of got a good mix in the band as far as different, you know, outlooks on music. And sometimes it can be hard. Like there are times where I can't tell you how many songs that have been written by this band that we don't perform because it doesn't fit me. I can't sing to it. And they'll write some great music and they'll bring it, and they'll, like, probably hundreds of songs over the years where the band will spend hours writing, and then I can't do nothing with it because it's not my style. It doesn't fit my voice. And so there's, you know, you have to, you know, you get your influences, but when you join a band, sometimes you got to just kind of go with the flow. You can't just I can't just make every song that I write sound like Lynnwood King. I have to kind of take 5 other guys, and then we just kind of mold it together. So yeah, there's a lot of influences there, especially old school blues and rock.
Well, I can definitely tell in your performances because, you know, I've watched a lot of James Brown. I've watched a lot of those artists. I mean, like, I'm a fan of music. No matter who's singing it, as long as it's good, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
So I do see those influences as far as, you know, who you were talking about. And I think to your point, I think that you do find your heroes and you find what you like the most about them, and you kind of try to emulate it in your own way, not necessarily copying them, not mannerisms necessarily, but, you know, just a way or a style, and make it your own. I mean, I think that's healthy, and I think that's good to just, you know, grab the best from those that you think are, you know, good or doing it right, and then incorporating it into you and your own personal style and your own personal, you know, wants and desires when you're giving your music to people. Because really, that's what you're doing. You're giving us your music to enjoy, and you're giving us a gift that we, you know, we have to figure out how we use that gift.
Yes.
Just like
that's awesome. That's good. That's true, man. We try and we develop. You know, I'm not the same person I was 15 years ago. I've morphed and I've changed, and it gets better. You know, I've been touring for almost 25, 30 years. You know, I got out of the Marine Corps and I started touring. I started playing music, started touring, and I've been doing it ever since. And I want to say this too: the music business can be brutal when it comes to aging and when it comes to your time. But I want to encourage anyone out there that is doing whatever you're doing in life, your age doesn't matter. What matters is your attitude and what you're bringing that has worth. You know, you have to make sure that you're going to bring something that you love. And it don't matter how old you are. I was looking because my hair's a lot grayer now. I think when COVID hit, my hair just turned gray. But before COVID, I had black hair. I was like, so I'm looking at those videos, I'm like, wow, look how young I look. But I can say, as you age, things get better. It's just, I have to say that, and don't be discouraged to anyone that's watching. If you're going to start something new, hey, I'm 51. I just turned 51 on Friday, and I just started working out again, and I just started training and learning some new technology that's foreign to me. But it's never too late to pick up something and learn or even improve. God's given you time, a lot of life, and so, you know, take that time and grow and be the person that God's made you to be.
Well, I appreciate that. We've got just like 2 minutes left, but I just want to say thank you to Lynnwood King, my special guest tonight, because he has been so awesome. I love your message. I never even heard your message before we started our interview, and I have to say, I'm a fan and I'm impressed.
Well, I appreciate Tracer Rounds, man. I appreciate all your guys that are working behind the scenes. I appreciate everything you guys are doing. Semper Fi. I'm grateful to be a part of anything military. I love it. So God bless. Hey, happy birthday, America.
Happy birthday, America.
All right. Thank you so much. Right. Tell your team thank you.
Well, thank you. And where can we catch you real quick? We got a couple more minutes. Where can we catch you coming up? Are you doing anything on the 4th?
I'm going to be at my father-in-law's house on the 4th of July. But let me tell you that if go to my website, lynnwoodking.com. I'm going to start doing more live streaming on TikTok. That's where I do most of my live streaming is on TikTok. And my tour dates are on my website, wearetheheroine.com or lynnwoodking.com. I hope to catch you guys at a show. Terry, thank you. Thank you to your staff.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. God bless you. And we'll look forward to hearing from you.
Right on. I'll stay in touch.
Cool.
That's the show for today, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new show. And remember, you can listen to us again and again. The podcast of this radio show is available right after we go off the air tonight, anywhere that you can get your podcast episodes. And thanks for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment to talk about something close to my heart. Military Broadcast Radio is doing incredible work to support our veterans and bring their voices to the world. They rely on your generous donations and your dedicated volunteer hours to make it happen. I encourage you to consider supporting NBR in any way, form that you can. Use this QR code that's attached to the picture, or you can go to our website at mbradio.us. That's Mike Bravo Radio.us to learn more about how you can donate or volunteer even just an hour a week from your home. Help make a difference in the lives of our veterans, because once again, we're all here for you and not for us. We're giving our veterans a voice.